Oh my days. Um,
We are
we
experiencing
are going through
technical
it. Like, we are
difficulties.
really going through environmental challenges right now, but we shall survive. We shall persevere. If you see me wafting my face, it's just like there is just something in the air. It's just something in the air, and we can't get rid of it. So,
Mm.
forgive us. Forgive us. Now, Talk That Talk Thursday, we talk about something very, very pertinent, especially when it is something to do with parenting, or it is something to. Wednesday, we speak about mental health. Thursday, we talk about things that are pertinent to you that we think we need to talk about, right? And today's question is very, very similar to the topics we've been having and covering the last 2 days, which is children,
Mm-hmm.
childbearing, and essentially when you're supposed to have children, when you know you and your partner are ready to have children, and what exactly is the right time for you and your partner to have children, because
Mm-hmm.
essentially different people for different strokes for different folks, true,
True.
but there is an ideal time where you guys can have a child.
Mm-hmm.
So here are a few reasons or a few places wherein we would say, all right, y'all are good to go, or you two can
Mm-hmm.
decide for yourselves and you're like, yeah, we are good to go. This checklist is checklisting, you know? And one of those things is when you have a relationship that is stable. Now, a lot of people tend to do the opposite, where it's like your relationship is going through a really, really tough time, and you think that having a baby is what is going to be like the band-aid on
Mm.
top of that whole situation. So it's like you're, I keep breathing so hard and it's going right in my mouth. You have a child as a way to cover up what is happening within your relationship, like
Mm.
as a way of like bringing you two together, as a way of bonding you, and that's horrible. I think you can't place that much responsibility on a child. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really unfair for you to like put all your eggs in the basket of this unborn child who has nothing to do with anything. They're just here to exist, and you're putting all this pressure on them. So I think maybe have a conversation about where you are. You don't even have to have a conversation. You can just tell when you're having bad relationship issues, or when you're in a really weird relationship spot. You
Mm-hmm.
can easily just tell that things are bad. So try and have a child when you're emotionally in your relationship is at its most stable.
Mm. And also communication. And the thing with relationships sometimes is you don't want to ruffle the feathers. You don't want to ruin something that's working perfectly. Like you guys have not had a fight, you guys have not had a disagreement, but there's so many unspoken words, there's so many unspoken conversations, but you don't want to bring it up because it's such a huge conversation. The same way we avoid talking about sex and avoid talking about finances in a relationship, and we just assume, or we just say they know what they're doing. We assume that your partner knows what's going on in your mind. They are not a mind reader. And communication about children is very important because you want to know, does your partner want children? It's not a given. Not everyone wants the life of, I want to grow up, I want to have many children, I want a happy home with, loud voices and everything. Not everyone wants that, and it's not for
Mm.
everybody. Some people want to be child free. Some people have done the raising. If you have raised your siblings and now as an adult you're like, you know what,
Mm-mm.
I ain't
Mm-mm.
doing that anymore. Some people want to travel the world. Some people want to, do all of these things that can be a bit of
An
a
indulgence.
task
Oh, sorry.
when when children are involved. As in,
Mm.
it's very impossible for you to be backpacking through Europe when you have a toddler at home. You're going to be so torn, you're going to be in different places. Sometimes you want to pursue your career. You want to say, I'm going to be the magistrate. I'm going to be this and this and this. I want to be the best version of myself, and I don't think I can achieve that if my energy and my focus is divided between me and my child and my husband and everything in a household. That's just not for me, so I'm choosing not to have children. So sometimes you're like, of course he knows I'm a boss babe, he knows I don't want to have children, but in his mind he's like,
Does he know?
now I have married her, she will settle down, we can now have a million children. You are not on the same page. And please do this before you all get married, because it's going to be awkward when he's expecting you to start popping babies and you're like, hey, babes, I want to make partner at my law firm. I want to travel. I've gotten a job in South Africa. I've gotten a job somewhere else. What are we going to do? So have these conversations so that you're on the same page.
Finances, finances, finances. Money, 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 money. Let me tell you, you think you have money until you birth a child with defects. And now you're over here having to figure out, oh, who am I going to see about this? Is my child okay? Are they having a speech issue? Is this speech therapy necessary right now, or is it like a nothing burger? But you have to make a consultation for that. You are thinking you're ready financially until you now figure out, oh my God, my child is autistic. My child has a certain disorder that needs consistent and constant monitoring. It needs home care. It needs additional people to be with them throughout, like 24/7. They have someone, they have company at all times. You think you're financially stable until you're hit with the chief telling you, chief shaf shoof, telling you, well, we are no longer giving that amount of money as in, insurance for you. We're not going to cover that. We'll only cover this to this extent, and you have to financially cop in and put in extra money for that. Like, there's so many things that happen financially when you have a child that you need to sort of take care of. And if you're not financially in a position where you can sort it out, and I mean sort it out quickly and immediately, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency. I think it's important for you to just go like, all right, let me accumulate a little bit more. And I don't mean that every child is born with emergency health issues or whatever. All I'm saying is that you need to be ready for that. You need to be ready to give them housing. What happens in places where they're flooded, like Athi nowadays, they have random floods, flash floods, and then the houses are completely submerged in water. What happens when your house is submerged in water? Are you going to be able to take care of another house? Are you going to be able to sort that out as well? Like, I personally feel like finance is the biggest issue, is the biggest contender on my books. Like, finance for sure. That one has to be on point. I need to be able to know that this child's school fees is taken care of and they will be able to go to school up until university level if they want to. I need to know that they will have extra money in case of my passing. They will be okay. I need to know, like, all that.
Yeah, and also, are you emotionally able to take care of this
Girl,
child? We usually talk about financially, mentally,
emotionally,
emotionally, physically.
physically.
Hey, baby girl, you cannot be my size and running around 3 children.
Yo,
It is impossible.
cannot.
They will outrun you. Right now, I can barely run after one who's pretty much no longer a toddler. So now imagine having a litter of children and you're like this. Utafanya nini? They're going to occupy you. Now, are you emotionally prepared? Kathami said it yesterday. You cannot be out here saying, oh, childhood trauma. Oh, my mother did this, so I'm going to do it to you. Sometimes you even talk to somebody who's a parent and they're like, you're not supposed to be having
You're
children.
not healed.
Somebody's like, me, I suffered. I went to school. I walked 3 kilometers to my school and my child is over here enjoying a school bus. So
Are they not supposed to?
so you would prefer your child walked in the rain because you walked in the rain? Did that make you a better person? You're like, no, it's character building. Hey, if you are going to have a child and then be jealous of the opportunities that you can afford them, you have no business having children, okay? If you're going to be emotionally unavailable to your children, you cannot have a single conversation with your child. And children talk. And children will sit there and say, why don't you put down your phone when I'm talking to you? You're always on your phone. Children are very aware of these things as you're doing them. If you neglect your child, they will notice it. They'll say, mommy is not the one you talk to. Daddy is not the one you go to when you want to talk about something. Are you ready for that? Are you prepared for that? Are you ready for this child to be interfering with your lifestyle? You know how you usually watch TV? You watch a series. Weekend ikifika, unachukua remote, watch series. And it calms your spirit. It calms your inner child because when you TV haiko inashikanga hizo channels, but now as an adult you can afford them. Watch kutoka Saturday until Sunday, Monday unarudi job. Are you ready for that disruption? Are you ready for a child to come in and say, I want to watch Mrs. Rachel? Are you ready for that? And if it's going to hinder you, if you're going to be angry and lash out at your children because they want to experience life the way they want to, you have no business having children, babes.
Another very important thing is like other than we've spoken about finances, we've spoken about physically, are you able to give birth to your children,
Mm-hmm.
but like also community. And when we speak about community, we talk about support. Like, do you know how difficult it is to find childcare?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Turi going through so many
Mm-hmm.
nannies at this point. And I'm like, girl. And you see videos and footage of people doing funny, weird things to your children, and you're like, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to work to make sure that I pay this person, and this is what they do to my child when I'm away. Like, it can really mess with you. Like, sometimes I feel like if I had a child now, I would literally hold my child wherever I am. Wherever I
Everywhere.
am, that child is here. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
am doing the show holding this child like this. What are you guys going to do? Absolutely nothing. Because I feel difficulty in trusting people. So now you can imagine someone who doesn't have not just a support system of a partner who is willing to do it, but also they have to do every single thing themselves. Imagine Turi having to come with her baby every single day to work because she has no
No support
support.
system.
Do you know? Like sometimes you think about life in those terms. Career, what does that mean for her career? What does it mean for your career when you have a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean for you when you work? I was laughing the other day because I was talking to my friend and he says that them paternal, not maternal,
Mm-hmm.
paternal leave
Mm-hmm.
when you have a child is 1 year.
Mm.
1 solid year of you not having to go to work and you are paid. 1 paid year solid. You're not going to work. You just bond with your child. And for the mothers, it's 1 year and I think a half, right? No, for them it was 9 months. For for the mothers, it was about 1.5 years of you just bonding with your child. You're no pressure. You know you're getting paid at the end of the month. Your money is coming through. There are no deductions. Absolutely no one
Sounds
is
like a
going
European
to.
country.
No, that's in Kenya.
Mm.
It's our friend Chechus,
Mm.
Chechus of the disco.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who that is, but
Okay.
okay.
Uh,
They do not know who that is
Read it,
either.
read it.
So
I'm trying to
let's.
find it. Anyway, we had a thing where we were talking about it. My love. Ilikuwa my love ama ilikuwa my something. What was it? You know who I'm talking about.
I will know later.
Fine.
Uh-huh.
Long story short, we have a mutual friend who, Kiambu Road, who,
Oh,
yes,
yes.
their workplace gives the men 1 year of paternity leave and the
Mm.
woman 1.5 years of paternity leave. But he has a sister who works in another great institution, but then they're given 3 months. As women, 3 months of maternity leave. The husband is given 2 weeks, if at all. So you can imagine these are people who are living in the same environment, who are working the same kind of jobs, probably earning around the same amount of money. But like if you really think about it, can you and your career sustain your desire for being a parent, or are you going to be forced out of your house at 3 months, at 4 months, having that guilt of, oh my god, my baby is my baby okay, is my baby okay, that maternal guilt that people tend to have for leaving their children alone early? Are you going to be suffering with that? My point is there is required a lot of support with your career, with your support system in general, even your health. Is your body going to support you? Like, can you really truly give birth? Can you
Mm.
truly be okay and you won't lose, what's it called? The alopecia that you get from having a child, the losing of the teeth. I've seen people getting diabetes. It's crazy. Like,
Mm.
it's not funny.
Yeah, and you see, there are health risks
Yeah.
to all of this, but also just the timing of it all. Like you need to plan your children. I feel like we've advanced enough as a society to be in a space where we can plan for our child and not necessarily always have an oops baby. If all your children are oops babies, babes, what are you doing? It's okay if you're not a Smith or you live on a ranch and you're a rich and financially stable. You could have 1 million children, and we said this yesterday. But if you're finding yourself in a position where you can barely feed yourself, you can barely eat 3 meals a day, whereby you eat at the end of the day, you drink water, you go to bed, you have no business bringing a child into this world. If you're in a situation where you're in the, like when you're working towards your career and you're just putting in all the work and it's about to pay off, that's not the time to have a child, because now you're going to be super resentful of this child who curtailed my career. You know, I had to step back and be a mom for a while before I could go back and start competing with my coworkers and my colleagues. And by the time you get back to work, systems have changed and you feel like an intern coming back to work. So timing always. If you're going to have children, plan for it. You have 9 months to plan for where they're going to be sleeping, the clothes they're going to be wearing, because I don't want to see you at 40 weeks pregnant. You're like, I don't even know where pesa ya maternity itatoka. I don't even know where we're going to get extra room for this child. Listen, timing, plan.
I feel like I'd said like 3 at a go.
Yeah, it's okay.
And that was so many. What about when it comes to the desire itself for parenthood? I know you've mentioned this and we've spoken about it, but I think, can we go a little bit more in depth with regard to the actualities of it? Because sometimes you want a child. Like we have had a producer mention this, that he wanted a child, he has a child, but at the same time there is also the fact that maybe their partner wanted. I don't know. Do you feel like it's confusing sometimes when, if you've not had these discussions in depth enough for you to be sure that I want a child and you want a child and we want a child together at 1 year of pregnancy? Or are you going to concede to your parents giving you pressure? Because like now I've already started getting pressure from the in-laws asking where the baby is, where the baby at.
Where the child at?
It's only been a year, y'all. Like, I have a few days. I'm not even a year fully. Can y'all give me a chance to enjoy my marriage before you start asking me to pump babies? What's going on, guys? Calm down. So what are your opinions about this whole situation?
I feel it all goes back to communication. You know, those topics you really don't want to have because your relationship is blissful. You know that, sometimes your relationship is just going so good,
So well.
but there are underlying issues. But you don't want to address them because you don't want to ruin what's going on right now. We are good. We are checking up on each other. Life is good. There's no silent treatment. There's no awkwardness. Yani, we are just in love, But I don't want to address that issue because it may disrupt, this blissful moment we're having. But if we're being honest, it's not entirely blissful because there are things we need to talk about. So please talk about them. As uncomfortable as that conversation is, it either saves you time or it saves your relationship. Look at it from that perspective, because we could ignore this and then 5 years later we're asking each other, you're being resentful, like, why are you not giving me children? But I thought you knew I don't want children. It could have saved you 4 years. Now here you are starting from scratch again simply because you were too nervous or too anxious to have that conversation of, hey babe, what do you think about children? Are we going to have children? Is this something you see yourself in? And sometimes your partner is like, nope, I don't want that. And maybe you want that. So like, okay, so what do we do now? Are you willing to compromise? Is this, Amma, do you need some time? Because sometimes you just need some time. I mean, give me like 2 years, please. Let's enjoy this for like 2 years before we bring a new dynamic. So ask them, do you need some more time? My biological clock is ticking. People having menopause at like 40. Calm down. So have these conversations, as uncomfortable as they may be. Yeah, because, don't assume anything.
I think another one, which is, again, we've spoken about it quite in depth, but it's lifestyle changes. I was chatting with a few of my friends the other day. I've been chatting with a lot of my friends. Guys, I'm sorry. I've been chatting with my friends and we were talking about how some people are like, when I have children in a marriage, I'm stepping all the way down, baby boy. I'm about to be a house mama. I'm about to be a housewife. And I was like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, when I'm young and I have energy and we're married, great. But the moment I pop a child out of my vahuha, like it just exits the between us. I am resigning from my work. I am done with working. I am ready to be a housewife. And I was like, how and why would that be the direction you go to? Because like honestly, it feels like And they're like, yeah, I've done my time. I just want to take care of my child. I want to give my child 100% attention. I have had my experience of having a mother who's been working, and I don't want that for myself, and I don't want that for my child. I want to be 100% present in their lives. Like, I'm sacrificing my career. I am sacrificing anything that I would have achieved in terms of my goals career wise, and I am prioritizing this child 100%. But simply because you do that doesn't necessarily mean that you will get the reward, which is your child loving you and being so appreciative. Children are always going to be what children are going to be. Sometimes they end up being horrible little gremlins, even when you made these sacrifices for them. But at the same time, those are lifestyle changes that are huge and need to have a conversation about.
Yeah.
Before you marry someone and get them pregnant, and then you're like, oh yeah, they've always wanted to be a housewife, and you didn't know about that. These are huge conversations to have. Lifestyle changes, for example, is it your partner that now expects you to willingly step down? Because sometimes it's the man is like, yeah, immediately you get pregnant, why are you working? Can you stay home and raise your children, our children? Having these lifestyle conversations of, okay, fine, if I don't have children with you, will you go ahead and have another wife so you can have children with them? These are huge conversations that need to be had. Like, how important is it to have a child? If I cannot have children because, again, of my predisposed issues health wise, does that mean you will have to get another child by somebody else? Does that mean we have a conversation about adoption? Does that mean we have a conversation about surrogacy? These are huge conversations, and we can only have these conversations truly honestly when we've gotten to know each other a lot better. So again, communication, communication, communication. If you guys are not talking about the fact that somebody left socks in the living room, and you're like, oh my God, no, that's going to be such a trigger. If you guys are not having conversations about someone, their wet towel is on the floor and you have to come and pick it up every 2 seconds, and you're like, oh my God, yeah, that's going to be such a difficult conversation. When do you think you're going to have a difficult conversation as such as children, Huge.
Yeah, but honestly, I feel like a lot of things could be solved if people just talked to each other.
100%.
A lot, because people assume a lot is going on in your head,
100%.
but nobody is a mind reader, and nobody has the depth of perspective that you have. Nobody's thinking the way you're thinking, and we usually think, but that is so obvious to you. Common sense is not common. I'm not saying your partner is stupid, but sometimes they don't see things the way you see them. And until you communicate that, hey, from my perspective, from my point of view, this is what is happening. This is what I feel. These are the range of emotions I am experiencing. If you don't say that to your partner, how will they know? They think everything is good. She actually enjoys staying at home, being a mom, and you are struggling because you had a career and you feel you're being left behind. You have no friends because you're a new mom, and your friends are out partying while you're pumping milk at 3 a.m.
Gosh.
You feel a bit isolated, but your partner's like, she is enjoying motherhood, but you're not. So please communicate. Even if it feels like you're doing too much, you're saying too much, it's becoming repetitive.
And redundant, yeah.
Communicate until you're heard, is what I'm saying.
I think that about concludes how and our stance when it comes to parenting and when it's your time. Like, when do you have children? I think we've pretty much covered every basis. We've been speaking about this for 30 minutes, honestly. At this